I've stopped using words like lead or guide or anything like that. And I just want to pull out what is inside of you that we have suppressed over the years for whatever reason, all the self-sabotage, all the self-doubt. Let's pull these things out, figure out what you're great at, figure out what really makes you happy, because it's not going to be your body. No matter what you think, it is not going to be that. You are going to get to a place and you're going to be happy and you're going to be excited.
This is Mastering Menopause. By using fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset, you can master your hormones and get your body back. I'm Kathy Cote with Catalyst Fitness and Nutrition. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Mastering Menopause. Today, I am joined by Jim Hallinan. He is on Instagram as Jimmy Nutrition, and because I follow Aram, I was exposed to Jimmy, and I love your content. He's also the host of the Other Side podcast, so give that a follow, give a listen, and I will post all the links. But thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it. It was great meeting you just recently.
It was great meeting you too. Yeah. At the Real Coaches Summit. So such a great event to actually meet and go with people that like you see on Instagram. It's like, wow, they're just a really cool person, actually. I figured everybody there would be anyways, but it was nice to kind of have an actual real conversation and have a little just have real face to the man. So
yeah, it's funny because there's so many people that will maybe, I don't want to say so many, a few is so many to me, come up and say hello, and you don't recognize them. And when you're like, you're probably right. I'm like, that's exactly who you are. Like right away, I recognized you, because there's so many people that either they don't show their face much or this stuff doesn't show up on my feed. I'm not a huge scroller. I can't stand how Instagram like just puts the same things at the top. I wish they would go back to like the chronological order. I'd actually see more people's stuff. But you were one, I'm like, I recognize you right away, Kathy. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, thanks. No, it's funny too. Like you say, like you putting your face. Like I know you because you do put your face on your templates. Like maybe not Rob so much because it's like I do see him once in a while, but like his are just like that's his thing, right? Where he just puts the post out, and so it's nice that you have your picture, but just following, but stalking you in your stories and stuff since. So
that's where I'll typically do it. And I was doing, I've laid off the reels lately. I have to start doing those again. And then Ram has been doing more, so people are definitely seeing his face more. But that's one of the things. Yeah, when we first met, we had the similar style of posting, just like these quote block type things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I listened to your episode 2 with Cody.
Okay.
Where he had you put your face on your
on your
Instagram. So like it's funny these things kind of matter that you don't think they matter, but they actually do. So for the better or for worse, it is what it is, right? You are a high school teacher, PE teacher, and what else do you teach?
Health phys ed. I wrote a curriculum in nutrition and kinesiology. It's an elective for seniors. I think they want to open up to juniors now. So that's an elective. So I teach that. So I actually get to teach a course versus phys ed, where I'm just doing phys ed, babysitting half the time with seniors who don't want to do anything.
Right.
We have a few units. I take them into the weight room. I like doing that. I like seeing the students who are not typically phys ed kids get praise for maybe like their form or what they're doing. Like, oh, you're really good at this. You have great form. And they're somebody who never lifted. They just naturally are moving well. So it's cool to be able to celebrate those students there where they don't necessarily get that doing basketball or doing other team sport type stuff. And I like teaching health as part of the year. That's definitely something that I'm passionate about. And I generally have that. I ask them what they think senior health should be about. I'm not going to spend 2 weeks talking about STDs. My STD unit is if it's itching, burning, painful, go to a doctor. We don't need to break them all down on everyone. Yeah, I'd rather talk about other stuff, talk about life, talk about things that maybe they're not really ever thinking about when they're in the classroom in other classes. So health phys ed, and then that nutrition kinesiology class.
Yeah, awesome. Very cool to have that exposure too, right? Not just teaching the book.
I never use a book.
Your life application for sure.
Yeah, never use a book. I hate book work. I hate busy work. I hate things that have no purpose whatsoever. So, which may come back later when we talk about some of the coaching things that are changing with me. But anyway, that's me with the teaching. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love your content because it's very, to the point, very straightforward, very helpful tips and just actionable items. And I'm just curious, how did you get started as a coach? What interested you?
It actually started well, I was a personal trainer back in college and always involved in some way in fitness. I went to school for health and phys ed. And when I wrote the curriculum for the nutrition kinesiology class, I am teaching it. I understood and knew that nutrition coaching was a thing, but it was not something 7+ years ago that it was not a common phrase. Like, what's that? I just knew about nutrition coaching and ways that maybe it can be done. So I'm teaching the class. I'm trying to tell them, hey, if this is something that you're passionate about, you really care about people, like, you can make a career with this. You can make money if you really understand this. And I'm teaching them how to write nutritional protocols, prescription. I'm giving them avatars saying, what would you prescribe, quote unquote, for them? And they always had to give reasons why, because three people could give three completely different answers. And I want to know what they were thinking and why they were thinking it. So that was always a part of what I was teaching. And as I'm talking about they can make a career of this, because these people signed up for it. It might have been they thought it was easy because, oh, it's me, it's a gym teacher, it's be an easy elective. And we quickly had to start having some standards, like the ability to do math and maybe a lab science as a prerequisite, because some of them were struggling with some of the application. And so halfway through the year, I ended up starting Jimmy Nutrition coaching. And it almost was spawned from, hey, I want to help people. People ask me these questions all the time. I'm telling these kids it started off with just me doing seminars at gyms. I just started going around the seminars. I'm a teacher. I feel comfortable teaching things. I like teaching things. I like explaining things. I like my analogies and making things in a way that people can understand, and the simplicity of it, and hopefully get them out of their own way of the way they view things. Open their eyes to, oh, that's why that worked in the past. It's not because it was magic. It's because of this or that. So I just started going around the gyms. Hey, I'm a teacher. I'm a nutrition coach. Didn't even have a client. I'm a nutrition coach. And I do seminars at gyms. I just like teaching. And I know as a former personal trainer that people are always asking questions about this. And maybe you're not equipped to answer all of them. And I'm just here to help. Some people were like, well, what's your angle? Like, what are you selling? Like, I have no angle. I just like doing this. I guess my angle, I have no pitch at the end. I have no products I'm selling. My angle is, I guess, if at the end of the day when they leave, if they're like, you know what, I do want some help with this, then they'll think of me. That's pretty much it. And I started getting a lot of gyms that were allowing me to come and speak. And then I started getting clients. I mean, my first two quote unquote clients were two friends that I'm like, hey, I made this spreadsheet. I'm trying to use this to track things. And they both wanted to lose weight. I'm like, how do you guys feel about being my guinea pigs? And you can have a healthy competition with each other. I just treated them like clients and did that for 3 months. They both were successful. And I'm like, all right, let's just do this. I'll jump in and learn along the way, which I feel like has always been a gift of mine, of not needing to know all the answers, just starting, which is what we tell clients all the time. You just have to start and learn and figure it out along the way. I mean, I started a driving school 15 years ago. I literally Googled how to start a business in New Jersey and just started one. I had no idea. It's overwhelming when you look at everything, but you just start, you learn along the way. So that's how the coaching got started, and it's evolved a little bit since.
Right.
Yeah. A little better.
So what would you say is like your coaching philosophy?
It's interesting that you're asked, because these are all things now as I'm really going to be changing things that I do, that I want to establish and be able to answer that question, like having it written down and know exactly what my philosophy is, and to have that imprinted in my brain. But for me, just whenever I hear that kind of a question, it's really me understanding empathetically and being with people. It is not about macros. It is not about hitting things perfectly. It is not about anything. My goal for people is for them to fall back in love with themselves. And now, as I'm evolving some of the things, I've stopped using words like lead or guide or anything like that. And I just want to pull out what is inside of you that we have suppressed over the years for whatever reason, all the self-sabotage, all the self-doubt. Let's pull these things out, figure out what you're great at, figure out what really makes you happy, because it's not going to be your body. No matter what you think, it is not going to be that. You are going to get to a place and you're going to be happy and you're going to be excited. And then there's the stress and the pressure of keeping it. Or it's you were doing it just for the body, and then you think that you're going to go back to your old lifestyle, the way that you were treating yourself, and you're going to keep this body. And then you get in that cycle and the depression and all of that. So most of my conversations with clients do not revolve around food. It's about the rest of their life.
Lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would like to have a more concise statement. I'm going to be working on that.
Coming up with your mission statement.
Yeah. So yeah.
Sounds like you did mention core values, so maybe that's where that came up on your story yesterday.
Yes.
Where it's like, core values and is your core value the scale? Like, I don't know that anybody would ever answer that, right? That is part of their core value, but
Correct.
it sometimes takes that front and center approach to fitness where it's just like, it's tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm building out. I'm writing out, I guess you could say, curriculum, a program, just a different approach to things. Because when I look at the clients who are lifelong successful and the ones who aren't, the big, I think, differentiating factor is that they've let go of that being the focus, and that they've really focused on the lifestyle change and making decisions that make them feel good, physically, mentally, emotionally, not make the scale go down. I know now that these are the types of foods that make me feel this way. And if I'm going to indulge, I know how I'm going to feel, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm not making these emotional decisions as much, or they're very rare, and I recognize it. So I think that going through the process before ever getting into tracking anything, and this is what I'm trying to develop and work on. If somebody comes to me, hey, I want to lose weight. Well, the first thing we have to do is this. We have to establish what the core values are, give them the resources for it. Next week, you're going to have these 3 to 5 core values, and this is what you live your life by. And you're not allowed to complain to me about anything that's outside of your core values. So if you're going to complain to me about the scale, we are not moving on to the next phase where we get more detailed in protocol. You're going to complain about the scale. Is that one of your core values? No. Okay. We can talk about all the things that maybe you did, but then when people start to pay attention to that. I lived in line with my core values, whatever your health core value is, and create an action statement. So for people who are even never going to reach out to me and never go through a program like this, look up developing your core values. Find out, but when you find those maybe 3 to 5 words, create an action statement. Because I think a lot of people say, like, what are your values? Integrity, character. Like, what the hell does that even mean? Like, you're just saying words, like, how do you use that? Create an action statement. So that would be something I would want people to have. And now, if, hey, the scale's not moving, well, where are your decisions this week in line with your core values? And then you can quickly stop complaining about things that are out of your control. Hey, you know what? I showed up and treated myself in a healthy way. Hey, Friday, one of my core values would be to live life that promotes a healthy being. Well, that's mental, social, spiritual, physical. And part of that might be, hey, on a Friday night, I went out with my friends, and it was really great. It was great for my social health. It was great for this and that. So I did make the decisions that were in line with that. Awesome. Let's focus on that instead of how the scale may respond. Because then if it's just that, then why am I going for these walks? Why am I drinking all this water? If the scale's, then just fucking quit. Just stop drinking water and stop going for walks.
Just give up. Give it all up.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working on with making changes as I do. And if you follow me and see the stuff that I post about, it's very rarely about food and exercise. It's all mindset stuff. It's all perspective shifts. And in terms of what I said earlier about doing things with a purpose, I want to do things that are more in line with my purpose and really recognize, hey, what are my gifts, and be proud of them, and then do things in my life that are in line with that. So I want to be able to help people get to that place. And I feel like I can for people who are open to doing that.
Yeah. I know, now you're making me think I have to kind of revisit my core values, right? Because my business just changed.
Yeah.
And just like so going from point A to point B, right? Point B to point C is going to look a lot different from what I have just done. And so I think I have to align with that. So thank you very much for reminding me of that, because I think that would help me clear up like my vision of the way that's going. So
yeah, and I think we're seeing this in the coaching space. I think that I'm seeing it. It's funny because the more that I talk about it, with the people in my circle, the more I start seeing it, the coaches that are out there that are getting into these, and getting into these things. I mean, like, you saw Jamie Filer speak?
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah, she's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, she's great. And I'm like, I go, I want to speak, but I don't want to talk about all this stuff that other people are talking about. And when she spoke, I'm like, yes, this is the stuff that needs to be spoken about. And afterwards, I'm like, have you read this book? Have you read this book? She's like, no, like all this stuff. I'm like, you have to read these books. You would love based on what you spoke about.
If you could repeat those, because I didn't write that down that night when you said that.
The book, the one book, I'm trying to think now what the other, well, there's a couple. I'll try to remember all. The one is Untethered Soul. Very necessary for me when I read it at that time in my life. If you read it and you're like, I don't get it, it's not the right time for the person to read it. I think if I read that in my 20s, I'd be like, all right, whatever, this is hokey. But total perspective shift on the way we view ourselves, the way we view our world around us. I love that book. I started reading the book No Bad Parts. And that, I forget the first name. I think the last name is Schwartz. It's about the internal family systems. It's this guy had kind of created, I guess, this concept of internal family systems, where we look at all the different personalities that we have. We're all very multi-personality, multifaceted beings, and we try to suppress parts of us instead of recognizing, hey, these parts of us we created to protect ourselves. You know, whether it's emotional eating, and that's stuff I think Jamie might have talked. She kind of touched on it. Yeah, like little Jamie, and I was like, this is internal family system. She's like, holy crap! Like, you have to read it because it dives deep into it. To thank these parts of yourself. Hey, thank you for protecting me, but I don't need you to protect me this way anymore. So Untethered Soul, No Bad Parts. I feel like there was another book that, whatever, if it comes to me, I'll say it. I don't want to keep saying
yeah,
forever.
no, I think you did mention that.
Okay.
So then what like systems are you setting up? Are you just like, is that like the process then?
Yeah, right now I'm outlining everything that I want to do. And as I'm going through it, I am realizing like this could be something that's either, hey, this is a group thing. Each week we're going through these things together and we're all able to communicate together as a group. Or if somebody's working with me one-on-one, these would be the exact same steps I'm going through. It's just you and me directly are speaking about it versus having a group of people going through it. But I think once all those things are really lined up, it just makes, if you're going to get into tracking, so much easier. For the people that don't want to track, cool. Like, there's going to be ways that we're going to track your nutrition and your fitness, but we got to figure these things out first before you think you're going to dive into this super intense 5-day a week. And you see that probably all the time. People are like, all right, I'm ready, go. They're all in, and then they burn out. Like, I can't do this. And then they go back to those same self-limiting beliefs of, this isn't me. I can do this. I'm not built for this. I'm too old for this.
Yeah, no, it will absolutely make sense. So I love it. I also just asking the questions too, you know, people like, they're like, just tell me what to do, you know, and it's like, I can't tell you what to do because I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And what are the habits that we have to change and what's going on with your lifestyle? Like, we have some work to do here first before I can actually tell you yourself what to do. How about that?
Yeah. And that's the whole, I mean, I've done that from day one with things. I started reading the book Motivational Interviewing because everybody talks about reading the book Motivational Interviewing. I start reading it. I'm going, maybe because I'm not 23, I'm 45 years old. And maybe it's because I was a teacher and I've always been involved in like some form of teaching or coaching in some way. It was just natural for me to want to ask questions. I'm reading this book, Motivational Interviewing, and I'm like, people don't do this? Like, do you not give a shit about the person at all? I mean, just having any sense of care about the person, I would think you would naturally want to ask questions about, well, how'd you feel about that? Like, it was just like such a natural thing for me to do. So now that was that post the other day of that guy that was reaching out to me about stuff that I told him, this is what I want you to work on through these emotional eating things, and then ask the questions. I'm not going to just be like, that's awesome. And then he's like, okay. And I'm genuinely inquisitive. I genuinely care. I want to know the person. I want to know what's going on in their head. When it comes up again, then, they have more information. Just like you asked me what my coaching philosophy is, or if I ask somebody what their core values are, somebody asks me, it's like, I don't know, like you don't really know, but when you're forced to write things down, you're forced to processes, then it becomes something that's a little bit more imprinted in your brain versus just the habits we have that have been imprinted in our brain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we didn't just get here. Like if there's a situation that you want to change, like for the better. So what do you think makes you a good coach?
I think it's caring, and I'm smart. I've always been so apologetic. I'm getting to this place where I'm really trying to not be so apologetic for things that maybe like things that I might be good at. I always feel like I've been that way. Like I'm just apologetic, or always trying to prove myself in some way. I'm just a gym teacher. I got to prove myself that I'm smart or whatever. So I'm really kind of coming into this place in my life where I don't give a shit. Like I'll be proud of things that I'm good at. But for me, I understand the science of it. I've done all the certs. I have enough experience. I have the master's degree, and I understand the science. So like those things are good. But I think the biggest thing is genuinely caring about people. I'm also not going to be overly available for people and hold their hand too much. There's a time and a place for that. But people need. There have been times where somebody has texted me, and it's a situation they should not have texted me in, where I'm out at a restaurant, like I don't know what to get. Too late. We already talked about this. Don't text me when you're at a restaurant asking me what you should order. So I ignore them.
I call that let them sit in their diaper.
Exactly.
Shitty diaper. And
it's so great for them for so many, because everybody knows the answer. Like that person who says to you, tell me what to do. You know exactly what to do. You're not doing it. And you think somebody telling you what to do is going to do something. Well, if that's the case, how come nothing's worked? Because every other thing you've tried was somebody telling you what to do. So it's such a great opportunity for whether they had a win or a loss that night. Hey, just got your text. What did you end up getting? And they'd say, how'd you feel about that? If it was bad, okay, bad. How'd you feel like this morning? Was like your gut tore up or anything? Were you bloated or anything? Yeah, it was this, that, or I ordered this. I was going to get this, but I got this. I didn't eat the bread, and I only had one drink. How did you feel about that? Like, I've learned this to not celebrate something before I find out how they feel about it. Because they might be like, I feel like shit. And I'm like, oh, never mind. Like, oh, that's awesome.
Oh, what a win. Awesome.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's awesome. You only had one drink. Yeah, but I went in, I wasn't going to have any, and then I had one. I just feel like a failure. Like, I want to find out their perspective on the whole situation. It allows them to think about it, process it, and then I can give them the opposite perspective. I just feel like a failure that I had that drink. Well, you wanted to have no drinks? How many drinks would you normally have had before? Like, probably a few. Okay, so is one better than what you used to? Yeah. That we could talk through that kind of stuff and help them, the people who are always pessimistic about their decisions and all that. It's a chance to show them the optimistic perspective on it. And if they think it's a win, fantastic. I'll celebrate that win. We could always have the conversation another time. Like, did you feel comfortable with those decisions that night that you feel like you'd want to repeat them? I could probably do this or that better. Cool. Like they figure out the answer,
Yeah.
The only time it's maybe worth telling them maybe what to do. Even then, half the time I don't, unless I've been with a client for a while and they're like at that place. I just want to do what you tell me. Should we go into a deficit now? Should we not? We've been working together. I know them intimately and could say you need another week here before we even think about a deficit, kind of a thing. But outside of that, I'm asking them what they want to do. I feel like I just totally lost my train of thought. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Asking questions, finding out their perspective, giving them an alternative shift if it was negative. And if they thought it was positive, and then if they think there's something they can change to make it better next time, they come up with the idea. Sounds good. Go ahead. They say they want to be a vegan. I'll ask them why, answer all that stuff, explain why this might not be the best, but let's go for it. I've had people that wanted to go way too low with calories. I don't think this is a good idea, but you could tell they need to do it so it gets out of their head. Okay, let's do it. This is how you're probably going to feel. These might be the consequences. I'm here for you. Let's do it. I don't think you're going to get the result you want based on the history that we have together and the way that things have worked in the past. But go for it. And then they crash and burn. And it's like, cool. Now it's out of your head. Now can we get moving forward? Because I know when I have something in my head, I want to do it. I want to start a driving school. I go start a driving school. I want to buy a freaking cold plunge. I go buy the cold plunge. I think about a freaking year and I'm like, just buy it. So I stop thinking about it, kind of thing. So I understand that feeling. So I support them with it. But yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of my clients are surprised that we don't just go right into a deficit. It's like,
Yeah.
hold on, maybe it's a little bit of history, some data, some metrics here first.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you even know how to track? That kind of a thing. Let's see where even you're at, what your food quality is like, how many calories you're roughly taking in before you can ever get into a deficit.
Right.
You just got to give it like some cool name, like, oh, we got to do a priming phase first.
Of course, we
I-
have a priming phase.
Yeah, there you go. The priming phase.
It's a priming phase. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, how can I give you? I'm like, I can't give you a deficit. Let's see what you're eating first, so we can figure out how many calories you're taking in. Then we can go to deficit, and then I know it doesn't mean we're necessarily going into a deficit. We see those numbers, we find out a lot of information in that first week, and then go from there.
The idea that there's this one size fits all, which I changed my mind on that, because when I came in, it was like all about reverse dieting, and things have changed. Well, keto was keto and fasting, and those things still pop up, but it's like there's not one size fits all for anybody. So
No.
what clients do you work with predominantly? Do you do both men and women?
Men and women, mostly women. I think in this nutrition coaching space, unless you're maybe coaching hardcore athletes or something, you just tend to get more women that are, I think, vulnerable enough or willing enough, or they have more history, so they're fed up, because most of these things are targeted towards women. Most of the dieting and all that is targeted towards women. So mostly women, 40s. I've had clients upward in the mid-late 60s. I have a client now, this guy's 23. So there's a wide range, but the average, regular human being, mother, type of person who's feeling frustrated.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest needle movers for your clients typically?
Like what gets them actually like getting to the result, progress kind of thing, or
not necessarily the outcome, but like what would be when you start somebody off, like what would get the needle moving in the right direction where yes, eventually we're going to get to the end result. But
would you mean like in terms of like what they're actually doing type of thing, like what action?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say the people who are willing to get their protein up is a big thing. That's people seem very resistant with that. The number of women who are eating 50 grams of protein.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, well, here's our goal. We're shooting for 150. We're just going to slowly get there. Slowly work our way up to it. Now I've learned, do that. If the person's getting 50 grams of protein, let's shoot for 60 this week. All that means is this: 2 more ounces of chicken at one of your meals, a couple more eggs type of a thing. 1 serving of Greek yogurt, you'll be fine. So then it's okay, cool. You did 60. We're going to shoot for 70 this week. Once they start getting these numbers that they thought was impossible, they see a difference. I think I see they have a difference in their cravings. They start to feel really proud, like, wow, I did this kind of a thing. And they start to be a little bit more open and trusting to the process. They see a difference, obviously, in the scale for a lot of them when the protein goes up. So in terms of an actual action step that gets people going, I would say getting that protein up. And then like the other basic things, if they can just start cutting out any calories that they're drinking, getting more movement in throughout their day. But that's, again, everybody's so different with what gets them going. Some, it's like once they start getting into the weight training, and then that becomes like they start getting fired up about those. I hit a PR, and then they're like buying into the lifestyle. They start to realize, oh, there's all these other things I could be celebrating besides the scale went down, kind of a thing. So,
sure. It's funny. Some I predominantly women in menopause, and some menopause coach challenged me saying like, all you talk about is protein and weight training, and I'm like, yeah.
We just did an episode with this guy Gillis Pellegrin. He's like a thyroid kind of, that's his thing, like functional health coach. No, we have never had a guest who answered questions so concisely. Like he answered the question, this is what's going on, this is what's going on. And he was talking about he worked in a clinical setting, I'll connect you guys because I think it'd be awesome. He'd be great for Joe. Worked in a clinical setting. These people are in there, underactive thyroids, taking medication, and he would always have to address the lifestyle aspects of these things. And first thing I said was, after he went on all that stuff, what lifestyle aspects are you talking about to help somebody's thyroid? First thing he said was strength training. First thing. And then I like, what's the mechanism behind that? And he explains the mechanism behind it. And that, I was not expecting him to say that.
Right.
Adding more calories is a big one. Those things I would expect to hear.
Yeah.
But morning hygiene, night hygiene, from the sense of stress and cortisol and things like that, but strength training. So it's just another thing. I mean, more and more research is coming out about the benefits of strength training in so many ways. From our immune system, we learned that over COVID, to dementia and Alzheimer's, to now thyroid. I'm learning about even when it comes to menopause, the symptoms of menopause. Strength training is one of the biggest things that's going to help reduce the symptoms of menopause. So yeah, why am I talking about strength training? Because you're dealing with menopause.
I was like, why aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about estrogen dominance?
Yeah.
Talking about like it's your hormones? Like,
yep.
Because if we influence your lifestyle a little bit better, then we could.
100%.
That lifestyle is going to influence your metabolism and in turn your hormones. And so we can just make this easy. I say it's easy. It's not.
Yeah.
But it's the biggest rocks that we can address.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. If you're relying on medication and you don't address the underlying lifestyle choices, at a certain point, that medication is not going to work. So you have to up medication. At a certain point, you have to up it again. You have to up it again. And then at a certain point, you deal with the negative consequences of taking that much of a medication. I mean, I did a year-long functional health mentorship with this guy, Travis Zipper, and volumes of information we're learning. And at the end of this year of doing this, I'm going, it all goes back to lifestyle. Everything goes back to lifestyle. It's like, there's no super specific protocol that's going to fix anything. You could do some gut health protocol. Cool. You fixed your gut health until it immediately comes right back because you have no lifestyle changes. Right. Cool. You took all the supplements, you did fasting for a week, you flushed out your gallstones, you did all this stuff, but all that stuff comes right back if lifestyle is not addressed. So it's wild. And things in lifestyle that people don't think about: having fun, laughing,
stress. It's the stress piece is like the killer for my ladies. And it's like, can we just simplify stuff and just say no more often? Put yourself first a little bit. Get some people to take some of the shit off your plate. Why are you still cooking for your 21-year-old kids? Like, what the hell?
Fuck that kid. He's an adult. He's been able to vote for 3 years. He could drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Your baby's not a baby anymore. Let his wings grow. It's true. And I'm going through the same things right now. I'm like, this is the year where I'm going to figure out there's a few things I'm like, these things need to be cut out. And even if it negatively affects like income, I need to cut things out, from things that I have outside of coaching and teaching and all that. But that's so important what you just said. Saying no to things, creating boundaries, those conversations I've had to have with women, asking their fucking husbands for help. Like, speak up.
Let them know, right? Yeah.
You have to speak up and you have to advocate for yourself and say what's important. And I know, because my mother got mad at me when I said that one time in our Facebook group. She's like, well, a husband should know what they need. We shouldn't have to ask. I go, well, if the guy's not doing it, then what are your options? We could talk, all day. If the woman's complaining she doesn't have time to go to the gym and the guy's like, that sucks, and he's just sucking his thumb watching the football game as you're doing stuff with the kids, you have to say something. Yeah, the guy should know. But if you can't you have to communicate and say, listen, I need to do this for myself. I need this time. You need to take care of this and that while I do that. I need help clean this and that. You have to advocate for yourself, speak up, and get some help. That's the thing I feel the most bad for with women. Probably other things if they come up, but is this feeling like they have to take everything on. It's mom guilt. It's
the mom is definitely the mom guilt, right?
Real.
It's the caregiver too. It's the caregiver.
Yeah.
We're the ones that have everything, and also the perfectionism. And like nobody does it like the way that I do it. Like they don't do it right. Give
Yeah.
up on that. So
Yeah.
you're gonna ask your husband to put the dishwasher to put the dishes away. Don't fucking rearrange the dishwasher. Just run that
Yeah.
dish.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, and if it bothers you that it's not being done the right way, be like, hey, listen, this really bothers me. I know I'm crazy. If you want to say that, just say, I know I'm crazy, just to like use his words, however you want to say it, whoever your relationship is. But I want them to be put back this way. Can I show you? Blah, blah, and teach them. It's just like the kid who keeps messing up the lawn for the dad. So the dad says, fine, I'll just do it. Like the kid was smart. He kept making those lines not straight because he knew dad was gonna.
There's a comedian, act like an idiot, get out of work.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, take the time and teach them how to do things. I mean, I did that with my son when he was young, taught him how to do things very young so that I didn't have to do everything for him. He couldn't reach the water in the fridge. Okay, let's get your stool. Where's your stool? His little teeth brushing stool. Gets that out. Okay. Okay. So you can do it. Awesome. Now he's able to do it. Now I don't have to do everything for him. Went through the trials and tribulations of teaching him how to swim before he was 3 years old. So I didn't have to watch him for the next 5 years like other people. So teach the person to do it that way or let it go and have it be done a different way so that you can have free time.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah, I think it's a big part of it's like a big part of the just not making time, not prioritizing yourself and taking on too much stuff for, everybody else. So bringing the stress down. We don't have to watch the news. You will find out what is important. You don't
People do that. Every time I hear somebody talk about watching the news, I'm like, people do that?
My husband's terrible. He loves the news. And I'm like,
I couldn't find anything to be pissed off about today, so I'll watch this until I do, and then people it's tough because you're going all day. Everything's so stressed out, and this is a cycle that I have to talk with a lot of people about. So now you put your kid to bed maybe a little too late. I mean, my son goes to bed 8:30, and his friends apparently same age, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Well, that's why you're staying up till 12 because you need to unwind for 2 hours, and you're not putting your kid to bed until way too late, honestly. Put your kid to bed earlier. They'll be fine. Last summer, my son's like, it's not even dark out yet. I can't do this. What do you think I did? Got blackout shades. Blackout shades. We're not having this conversation. I know it's still light out and it's 8:30. You're going to bed and it's dark in your room now. He has an eye mask. I'm problem solving for me, but it's also for him, so he sleeps well. But the problem, people have these stressed out lives. They're getting up way too late. They're rushing out the door. Then they're yelling at their kids because they didn't get up early enough to get themselves ready. And they're getting everybody ready all at the same time. They go through a stressful work day. They're running their kids all over the place. They didn't get to the gym because they didn't ask for help. And now they have to unwind. And how do they unwind? Maybe have a glass of wine. Maybe it's watching Netflix, scrolling the phone, and you end up staying up too late and you never actually unwind. And now you're starting your day the next day more stressed because you didn't get a good amount of sleep. And then that cycle continues. And then you need to unwind. And you're unwinding in a way that's not actually unwinding. You're just turning your brain off. You could dim the lights, read a book. Watch how quick you fall asleep when you start reading a book and you're tired at the end of the day.
That's me. That's how I go to sleep. It's like, my husband's always like, you're going to read? I'm like,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know many people, you're exhausted at the end of the day and you just got so into a book that you're amped up at 11:30, but that phone or that TV can you up all night.
Yeah. I'm for sure. I just looked up Gillis. He works with Will Brezium. So he's with the Educated Dyer.
Okay. Nice.
So I'll reach out to him. So
yeah. If you have a connection to him, reach out to him. He's great.
Well, I was going to ask, what do you think your clients' biggest obstacles are to getting the results that they want? But kind of know.
It's all that stuff. Yeah, it's all that stuff.
We just talked about.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to people really figuring out what they want. And I've talked about this so much even on our podcast. When people come on, they have these different conversations come up. It's like, what do you really want? There's such an identity problem that I think people have. They're remembering what it was like to be 20-something and how they were leaner and they could go out drinking and all that stuff. And they think it's the body that made them happy And no, it was the fun that you were having. It was the freedom that you had. It was the less responsibilities. It was the way you laughed and joked around with your friends. That's what was fun. That's the memory. So if you could start to bring those things back into your life, have fun, create some more space for you to have some freedom. Plan a trip with girlfriends. There was one guy I knew who every year him and his buddies flew to an Eagles game, like at an away game somewhere. That was their way of getting together. I'm like, that's awesome, doing something like that. And women have the mom guilt. It's like, go away with your girlfriends for a weekend, plan something, have something to look forward to. That's a big part. Even when we talk about dopamine release is happening during the anticipation of something. Once you receive the whatever gift, surprise, whatever the reward, the dopamine's no longer released. So you want to get more dopamine, have something to look forward to. It's in the gambling, it's the anticipation of, am I going to win? That's addictive. It's the anticipation of chasing a guy or a girl, asking them out. That's the dopamine. It's the anticipation of that first date. That's the dopamine release. And then you get it and you're like, oh, how do I get that again? All right, I got to go hunt for a new woman. I got to go hunt for a new place to gamble, a new game to bet on.
I'm Keno, and I always think whenever I put my $20 in, right, I'm like, I'm going to win $1,000.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised when I don't.
I know, and it's unfair. Honestly, it's unfair. It's not fair. It's not fair. You played the numbers. You hit your macros.
Yeah.
I think if people realize that, bring those activities that were fun back then back into your life. Maybe not all the drinking when you were 21, 22. That probably won't be helpful, but to find those things, plan a trip. How many times do years go by? We got to plan a trip. We got to plan a trip. But they don't plan a trip. My Facebook group, I gave people assignment a year ago. It was like a year ago. I was like, in 2 weeks, you have to post here which trip you planned. You're planning a trip right now. For all the people that put it off, and all these people started planning trips and doing it. So yeah, you want to get that dopamine fix? Set something up that you're excited for. The memory isn't your body weight. The memory is all the fun that you are having. So let's get some fun back into your life. What things did you used to be passionate about that you don't do anymore? Did you like painting? Do you like writing? And these things have, gone by the wayside. Maybe it's just bringing those things back into your life, brings a little bit more joy, a little bit less stress. Now, maybe you're not stress eating as much. You're not as miserable, but it's so much more than freaking what you're eating, because it's all this stuff that we're talking about that creates the decisions around food.
Yeah, for sure. And just overly focused on the outcome based on a number just doesn't make sense. Like, it's not a data that you can control, because it's not that. It's not going to be that number. Nobody is ever going to say like, wow, we really wish you could have gotten down to 145.
Yeah. And how many times I have to tell somebody, like, nobody knows what size your pants are. Like, you're feeling bad because these pants are a little tight. Like, get a size up.
Pants, yeah,
get a size up and feel good. Like, why go out tugging when you can go out and feel good? Find something that fits you. Well, my goal is to get into those pants. Cool. Why don't you throw them out? By the time you get back into that size, you're going to want to get yourself a new pair of that size anyway. In the meantime, let's wear something that you feel good in. And even that, the concept of like the goal, just being human, our brain is wired to search for conflict. We are always going to find conflict. It's just wired in our brain, because if I can find conflict, then I can make a decision to protect myself from that conflict. And we create these scenarios. So even when everything's good, we're going to have conflict. There's not going to be anything that's going to make all the conflict in our brain go away. That's another good book for all the self-sabotagers out there. The Mountain Is You, Brianna West.
Yeah.
Great book. And if you do not think you are a self-sabotager, like, I didn't think I was until I read the book, like, shit, I do a lot of this stuff, So it's
human nature. I don't think there's anybody that wouldn't relate to that book.
Yeah. So, and it's one of those where you read the whole thing. You don't read the first half and go, okay, like, there's diamonds, gems, whatever the phrase would be, even as you're getting well past the halfway point. But it's great book. That's what I think a lot of people do struggle with, is the self-sabotage things, the self-doubt, all that stuff, all the things that we kind of were talking about. But you can get to the root of some of those issues. It just makes everything so much easier. And that's where, with my shift, with the way I want to approach things, like, I'd rather get to the place where you're in such a good spot.
Heavy lifting first.
Yeah, you're in such a good spot that you can explore tracking in different ways, more detailed ways, because the journey, I fucking hate the word journey, even though I use it, we have to, like that never ends. It never ends. So let's enjoy the ride and know that being part of this ride, it automatically is going to include a lot of difficult challenges. So this is a difficult chat. Let me see how I can navigate through this and that and enjoy the ride along the way, knowing it's not going to be fun all the time. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. Starting a business, going to college, all the things that everybody did. And I think that's part of the problem too, is I've mentioned this before. You graduate 5th grade. It's exciting. It's like, oh, in 3 years, you're out of middle school. You do all this work because you know you're going to be out of high school in 4 years. So you can tolerate, because you get the reward at the end of 4 years. You go to college, you get the reward at the end of 4 years. And then the next big thing, oh, I got the job. Oh, I got the wife. Oh, I got the kids. And then nothing. Nothing. Why do you think you're miserable at 45? There's nothing you have to look forward to. This journey that you're on, this roller coaster ride, it's like everything that you did along the way, kind of, you knew the result. I got the degree. I got this degree. Oh, I got that job. I got that paycheck because I showed up. And you keep getting these things. And then when those things stop, what can be exciting? All right, let's see what happens if I start lifting weights. Let's see. Life sucks anyway. I might as well push a weight that feels heavy. I'm already pushing up the weight of my own dismay. Let me push the weight of a 45-pound plate. Let's see what it's like tracking food. Let's see. Let's be curious. Be curious. Challenge yourself in those ways, just like you challenge yourself maybe with studying in high school. But I don't know. It's weird.
I think too, once you get to your destination, right, the goal changes. Like it should.
There should always
almost everybody, like, not. Yes, maybe when to get to a place where you're feeling comfortable, where we can maintain a bit, but that's kind of boring too. Like, why not push? Let's get a little bit. Let's push to this envelope a little bit more, or find something else to focus on. Let me get stronger. Let me start hiking. Let me try to do a handstand push-up in yoga or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we all know who've been in the game for a while. Like over my fitness journey, it's like I had 5 years. I was doing MMA training. I wasn't trying to compete. I was in a very family-friendly place. We left with no bruises, but that was like the conditioning I was doing. And then I was like, I want to try CrossFit. I did CrossFit for like 5 years. And then I hired a coach and he's writing programming. I'm lifting slow and steady. And I hated it. I'm a go person. I'm like, oh, it's the same workout every week. Like, I hated it. And I would fight them tooth and nail. They're like, just 2 more weeks and I'll switch it. We're going to do 6 more. Oh, do 2 more. Can you do 2 more? Yeah, you can do 2 more. And switch up. And what I learned from that was immeasurable. Of like, I ended up getting my physique changed in a way, because as I dialed in nutrition, my physique changed in a way that I didn't expect it to change. It was better, more balanced than it was when I was doing the other things. It was something new that was miserable for me. But it's like, I gotta learn how to do this. I gotta slow my brain down. Like, it was a lesson that I learned. And now I haven't really been doing cardio. And I'm learning the lesson of slacking in that area and how I feel in certain ways. So once you're in the game long enough, it's the lifestyle that is what is always there. If that mindset, that focus, that it's just, I'm making these decisions that are in line with my values, I can change what things I want to experiment with. Let me experiment not tracking food if it's all I've ever done, and see if I just focus on food quality. What happens when I cut out all added sugar for a period of time? See how I feel. What happens if I do this? And you do different things. But that's why I was back to the goal is the journey. The goal is the process, so if you can buy into the process, then the way you go about it, these little mini goals of maybe a physique or a strength goal or cardio goal or whatever it might be, that's the quote unquote fun part, even though it's all a little torture.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like a little torture?
Everybody loves a little torture. I think it's like, when I think of seasons, like that's, easier to think of on a smaller level, like, like bulk and cut, like we'll bulk up in the winter and then maybe we'll cut for the summer. But also when you look at life, like life is in seasons, and you're not always going to be the goal in your 40s are going to be different from your 50s, are going to be different from your 60s. And I'm getting messages from ladies that are in their 70s that are trying to lose weight still.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point to even say, like, why are you talking to me about 25-year-old goals? Why are you talking to me about goals of a 25-year-old? You're 50 years old.
Yeah.
What kind of things can you be excited about as a 50-year-old? I love getting older. I don't know what it is. I love getting older. I have zero desire to go back to being younger. Zero. I love the process of getting older. The perspective shifts are exciting to me. Ways you can push your body in ways that maybe when you were 25, you never even thought about. You're like, holy shit, I'm doing this stuff at this age. This is pretty cool, versus I want to be 25 years younger.
You don't have to push that much anymore.
God, that's absolutely, yeah. It's so much less than people think when you build that base. Yeah. It's why, when you see like the big places being built, you're like, this has been under construction forever. And it was just the foundation. Then all of a sudden it goes up really quick. You're like, holy crap. And then it takes a while for all those fine details. It's kind of like the more specifically as physique goal goes. Now it's like a lot of fine details if you get to like a real specific physique goal. Or you can just be happy having a little bit of a pouch and not worry so much. If you want to have fun in the process, you're like, I just want to see if I can do it. And you're into it. Cool, go for it. But if you're torturing yourself doing this,
if you really want to like push it to see what does that take? Because I did that, and it was like I got there, great. I got some great pictures. I'm still using them, but I didn't love it. I didn't love the process and being there. It was like, I'm not comfortable at this, like photo shoot weight, or like that was nothing like a competition, but it's like, how do you maintain this? I want to maintain this. Like,
do I want to? That's the thing. Like, that's why I started and didn't finish. Like people not knowing what they want. They want the physique, they want this body, but then they also want to go out and eat and drink with friends. It's like, which thing do you really want?
Yeah.
Like pick the one. If you really just want to go out and eat and drink with friends, then just choose to be happy with your body. And the rest of the week, hey, make healthy lifestyle decisions because it makes you feel good instead of being bloated and farting all the time, kind of a thing, But it's like, what do you really want? And even understand, like you had said with seasons, hey, for a season, you just take off some of those things. Just say no. Lie to your friends if they're not nice enough to you to not give you a hard time. Like, I'm trying not to drink. Oh, come on, have fun. What kind of friend are they? I just can't imagine doing that to somebody.
No. I mean, I've been in the situation, but it's like then now knowing it's like the threat, not necessarily threatened, but I think to some level it's like, shit, yeah, I wish I could do that. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I want to pull her down,
Yeah. And even like, like regardless of what like their conscious thoughts are, it's just weird to me to say that. If I was like, yeah, you want some cake? And they said no, I'd be like, okay. It's just so weird.
It's just one. Come on. Just have one piece.
It's just weird. Come on, have fun, live a little. Like it's like living a little is eating cake. Okay. And even like when people try to battle and figure out what they want and all that kind of stuff, I want people to be at that place where their body is not stopping them from doing things that they want to do. So you're trying to get, are you trying to get on stage for a competition? No? Okay. So you don't need a body like that. You want to hike and you're having a hard time? Yeah. For some people, their training needs to be for Disney World. You need to just train for Disney World. You're struggling to walk around Disney World all day with your kids. It is a struggle. You need breaks all the time. That should be your goal. Stop with these goals that are way past what the goal should be. Train for Disney World. Cool. Now train to maybe fit in the ride. Now train for the hikes because you've enjoyed walking now. So you can get the view at the top of the mountain or just even the view in the woods and all that stuff. If you have no desire to do something that your body's not, and like you said, things change. All of a sudden, like, oh, I can hike this trail. Like, oh, I want to hike that trail, and then it's like you find these new things. I just don't want somebody's body or self-image to stop them from experiencing life, and all the things that there are to experience.
Yeah, for sure. So is there anything else that you want to add that we have?
No. I just go on my rant.
Where can people find you? So are you putting together a group program right now, or just thinking about?
Yeah, right now I'm just outlining things. So I have no timeline for anything right now with what I'm going to be doing. I might test it out with people that have been in my Facebook group for a while. If people did go on Facebook and they searched Other Side Lifestyle, that's my Facebook group. And just on Instagram at Jimmy Nutrition. If they go on Instagram at Jimmy Nutrition, you'll see links for like the Facebook group, for our podcast on YouTube and Spotify and all that stuff. But that's it. There's nothing on the website. There's a link to schedule a consult call, but even that's on my Instagram. So go to Instagram at Jimmy Nutrition.
Yeah. I'll link all that. I'll link that too. I'm going to join your group too. So
yeah. I need to be more active on it. My life has been so crazy the last few months. I'm like, I need to, like we said before, there's some things I need to cut out, and I need to be more active in there. And this is giving me a new fire for what I'm doing by the things that I'm changing. So I hope to be more on there. Even like the email stuff. I need to be doing the emails more, like all those things. I enjoyed when I was doing them, and I've just let a lot of that stuff go by the wayside. That's the lesson for the clients too. Like the things that you enjoyed that you've let go, start bringing those things back into your life.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and thank you too for reminding me that, because I have a pivotal moment right now. I was like,
yeah.
with it's like an eclipse, and I'm like, oh, there's all these possibilities. What does that look like for me?
Yeah.
And I think that is like refining my core values too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then owning what you're good at. Like you come across like a very humble, but like you're holding something back almost. Like there's like, it's like, I don't want to be too, with some of the things you say, like you're great. I think you're great. It's like, own those things that you know that you're good at, and I think that it'll get that fire going. And again, this is brand new for me to really feel like I need to start owning those things, and be proud of myself, really find my strengths on paper, establish those core values on paper. Yeah. I think it makes it so easy to get a clear vision on what you want to do. And even like the people like, I have to find my purpose. You create your purpose. And if you can find out what your values are and what things you love to do, then you'll create your purpose. You're not going to find it out there anywhere.
That's fine. I just shared, I don't know. Do you know Brad, the sober bodybuilder?
Yeah.
Bodybuilder. So he shared like his top 5, and I forget who he shared. It was like Chris something, and apparently a big deal. And
Chris Wills?
Is it Chris Wills?
Modern Wisdom, maybe?
Yeah. And it was just like the passion, like you create your passion, right? You don't
create
just find your passion, you create the passion, and it's going to suck, and you're going to do things that you're not good at, and then you get good at.
Yep. Yeah. And it's totally being open to, hey, like, if I'm going to do like a whole new program, I know that it's going to be different after I do something. I'm going to do it. And then afterwards I'm going to be like, this is the way I can do it better. But you have to do it before you figure out how to tweak it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like, I am 100% do it, figure it out, take the messy action, and make your adjustments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's my life philosophy, I think.
Yeah. It's funny because like my brother, I'll ask him about a grill, and because I know he'll spend a year researching.
Yeah.
I spent 16 months researching which smoker's the best one. And this is the one I'd recommend. And then he'll give me a breakdown. Sure, the only reason it costs that much is because they spend more money on advertising, but the quality of materials of this, and he goes through this whole thing. I'm like, I'll do a Google search and be like, that one. Like, whatever. So I can also count on him to be overthinking anything and not really ever taking action and stuff.
Right.
So that's awesome that we're on the same page with that. I'm excited for that you'll be making. It's an exciting time. I think a lot of people are starting to do a little shift, recognizing we can't just keep talking about food and macros and stuff. It's like really become more evolved and help people become more evolved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for you. So it's all good stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, Kath. It was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you in person again in Las Vegas next year.
Yeah, we'll see. He might pick a different location. We will see. We don't know, but definitely do that next year. You don't have any conferences or anything you're looking at going to the rest of this year?
I haven't really looked at anything. I think I did a lot last year, so I'm just kind of like, right now I should be with all my IFCA friends. Jamie's down there, and I don't know if you remember Elise with the curly hair. Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
they're all down there, right? I'm like, dang it, but I was just kind of burnt on conferences for a bit, so
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
It can get a lot. It can get a
Yeah,
lot. I mean, the Arams is definitely up there in terms of the people that I like being around. Some of them they're so hyped up and big, and it's like a lot of people like, I'm better or something than other people or whatever it is. It's just different, or it's too young of a crowd. I don't want to hang out with a bunch of 20-something-year-olds. I'd much rather be hanging out with people a little closer to my age bracket. So yeah, yeah, his is great, but I don't have anything either. I'll have to do
yeah,
some looking.
yeah. If you come up with anything, let me know. So,
Yeah, yeah, possibly Allie in the fall,
I would
possibly.
like to, you know what? I would like to go to her
It's a
conference. That's
it's a good group of people, mostly guys. But just from a networking standpoint, it was nice. I definitely made some good connections with that one. So maybe that one, but I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, yeah. That's a yeah. But, I get putting something on the calendar to look forward to. I don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
uh,
Absolutely.
well, it was really a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your time, and we'll talk soon. I just realized I'm going to link all. Did I say that I'm going to link all your stuff?
I think you did.
I'm going to link all of your links.
Yeah. Just really just the Instagram one. If you can just link that if you wanted